Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. We're going to be talking about Teen Mom stars Caitlin Baltierra and his wife, Caitlin, and the situation that's been going on recently with him and his wife allegedly texting minors, two girls that alleged to be their biological daughter, Carly, her friends. One friend that went by the name of Jenna telling Caitlin and Tyler one thing that Carly was oppressed and really wanted to talk to them, but was too scared to reach out because her adoptive parents, Brandon and Teresa, were just super controlling and would not allow her to even speak about the adoption in the house. She could not say that she was adopted. She could not speak about, she couldn't say their names, Caitlin and Tyler's names. So one friend, this Jenna girl who went by the name Jenna, claiming that, Carly was in a really bad situation. Another friend that they spoke to who goes by the name Elle, saying the complete opposite, that Carly is very happy, that Carly wants to distance herself from Caitlin and Tyler because of everything that they have put out publicly over the past like year. The way they have spoke about her parents, Brandon and Teresa, and her just needing space from them, but that she was fine, that she has a very good life, that she is happy, that she is healthy. She has, she goes to a great school. She loves her school. She's involved in activities. And so, two different people, both alleged to be minors, Caitlin and Tyler, two completely different things. This led to them engaging with these two people, these two minors, asking questions, trying to get them to validate who they were. Tyler, Caitlin even asking like, "Hey, can you take a picture with Carly? Can you go into the bathroom and you and Carly take a picture together to send to me so I know you are who you say you are?" Tyler talking to the other person, this L person, a lot about religion, calling into question their beliefs, saying, it really seems like Tyler felt that Carly was involved in a religion that was more like a cult. And in his text to this alleged minor, he talked about that a lot, right? So the Jenner girl was proved to not be real. This was a catfish. She was not a real friend. But they do say that the other girl was legit and that she was a real friend and she is really a friend of Carly's. And this Jenna girl, this L girl, her messages have started being released. Her messages to Tyler, between her and Tyler, started being released on this TikTok account called Kate and Tyler's Messages. And it's being released by somebody named E. So E has come out to say that they are L's cousin. So L is the minor. E is allegedly an adult in this situation, a cousin, and E has taken on the responsibility of leaking these messages in an effort to like show the public, like, listen, they were warned, they were told that Carly's happy, and they just kept pushing. Like nobody could tell them otherwise. So these messages have been leaked. And now though, Caitlin and Tyler, they did an interview with a TikTok account called Adoptee Thoughts. There's also a YouTube channel by that same name, ran by the same person. And the 2 hour interview is supposed to be released on Adoptee Thoughts YouTube channel. It hasn't yet, but they did drop more bits and pieces of the interview today. And we're going to go over it because in this interview, they consulted with an attorney, a police officer, from my understanding. And in the bits that they dropped today, you hear the lawyer speak. A lot of people have said, like, you guys need to involve the police. Caitlin and Tyler surely broke the law of some sort. So in the clip that they released today, that Adoptee Thoughts released today, it has that attorney addressing that. Like, can Tyler talk to a minor? Like, what's the appropriate actions to take if a minor reaches out to him about his biological daughter, right? They also released a bit where Tyler basically apologizes, saying, like, I now, looking back, I now know this was not okay. And I was just in a vulnerable situation. And, I responded in a way that I shouldn't have. So we're going to go over all of that, right? Now, here's the thing. In this video that was posted by Adoptee Thought, her name is Melissa, but her page is called Adoptee Thoughts. In this video, they also go over how there's a discrepancy in the time difference. So, Caitlin and Tyler and this L person, Carly's friend, should have all been on the same time zone. They should have all been on the same time zone. So when the messages were being released on TikTok on L side, we'll say LE, whatever you want to say, it should have showed the same time on Tyler's side. Well, one thing that people noticed is like, oh my goodness, Tyler is messaging a minor at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. I had actually messaged Tyler about some of this stuff as well, like trying to get answers, like, what are you guys going to say about this? Like, what's going on? And one thing that he pointed out to me, he was like, I was not messaging this person at no 3 o'clock in the morning. This doesn't make sense. Here's their message. Here's my message. There's a time difference. So if there's a real time difference, that means this person is clearly not in North Carolina, which is the state that Carly lives in. Which also calls into question, how does she go to school with Carly? Because this minor was telling Tyler, I go to school with Carly. I'm a good friend of hers, see her every day, talk to her, la di da di da. So he's like, if there's this big time difference, they're not in North Carolina, right? You could do all kind of weird things. You can change the time on your phone. Now, one thing that Melissa and Tyler did in this video that we're about to watch is they messed with Tyler's time to see how it would change it. And apparently, from what they're saying, is even if one person changed their time zone in their phone, it would still show the correct time in the other person's phone, right? Now, also, it's being said that in this video that like Melissa and Tyler like worked together to put together, they doxed this minor, that they accidentally posted her Instagram handle in the messages in this video. I have not seen that. I watched the video like 3 times. On Tyler's side, it doesn't show any Insta handle because Tyler's been blocked. So it says account not found. On the other side, they're just showing the messages that have already been put up by E. Now, in the messages in this video, they do show where Melissa was like also talking to a friend of hers that lives like in another time zone and was trying to see how that would work. And that person's name is shown for a minute, like for 4 seconds before the video like redacts it. So I don't know if somebody thought this was the minor's Insta handle being redacted and then just went and told this person like, hey, they put up a video and they didn't redact your information. And because this person now is saying Kate and Ty have doxed me, they've doxed me. I can't find a dox, don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how a dox would come from Kate and Tyler's side since this person blocked them. Any screenshots they take from their side is not going to show that person's account because they've been blocked. Either way, let's get into it, you guys. If you haven't caught up, I have 2 videos prior to this that go over all the messages that have been leaked to date. I'm not going to go back into that. So check those out if you want to. It was his screenshot. Okay, well, his screenshots, okay, Nacho says it's actually there. Look again. It was his screenshot. On his screenshots, the ones that he sent to me, it says account user not found. So from E's side, it'll say Tyler Baltierra. From his side, it says account not found because he's been blocked, right? Unless they took screenshots from before they were blocked. We're going to watch the video either way. If it does show it, I would strongly suggest nobody contact anybody. Do not harass anybody. This is allegedly a minor. You do not want to get yourself in the same situation that Caitlin and Tyler is in by seeing this Insta handle and be like, oh, let me talk to them. Let me message them. Don't do it. It's not smart. Okay. So what first happened is this video from Melissa, from my understanding. So we're going to watch this. I'm so sorry for all the pop-ups.
And so,
all right, so you guys let me know if you can hear it. If I have mods in here, please let me know if the audio is okay. Hey, I'm a mom now. All right, so right here it says Caitlin and Tyler text scandal, accountability, and safety concerns.
Tyler went.
Never mind, let's not do that. I was trying to see if I could make this any bigger. Right here, it shows. I should have recorded this and just played it. Yeah, in other words, don't touch the poop. Okay, right here, it shows Melissa is texting Tyler. And it shows that Melissa is in the United States. Tyler says hi. And this is Monday at 5:50. Tyler says hi. Monday at 7:31, Melissa says texting back to see what this shows up as. Here, it is 7:31. And at 12:10 p.m. today, Tyler responds. But on the other side, it says Monday at 5:50, same. Hi. Monday at 7:31, texting back to see what it shows up here at 7:31. So it shows the same time at first. I had no idea it was going to be so small, guys. Hold
where
on.
we had him change his time zone on his phone, as you can see here, and what it did to the messages on his side and then the messages on my side. As you can see, the time here changed on
Okay, so the messages originally showed 7:31, but when he changed his time, when Tyler changed his time, it changed Melissa's to 1:31 a.m. from my understanding. I think that's what she's saying.
Tyler's side, but not on mine, unless
So not on her side. Her side still showed 7:31.
I went to my settings, as you can see here, and unless I actively change the time zones, my image stayed the same, unless I switched it on my side. And as you can see, I went all the way back, put it on automatic, which is New York, and it goes back to normal. When we look
Okay,
at
nobody's calling into question if these messages are real. Kate and Ty, yeah, Tyler admits that he was texting this person. They're not denying that. What they're trying to say now, or what Tyler and Caitlin is saying, is they never believed that it was really minors. They thought they were talking to like adults that really knew Carly because they did have information about her that other people would not have. But they never thought that it was actually a minor. But they like went along with believing that it was a minor to try to get more info because this person clearly had info. And I guess now they're trying to say, look, this person didn't even go to school with Carly. How could she? She lived in a different time zone. I think that's the point behind this, you know? Either way, I wanna watch the video because there's more at the end. So I think that's what it is. And yeah, even if it's an adult, even if it is, they said they were minors, so the next step should have been, "Can you have your mom contact me? Can you report this to someone?" I mean, but they're not, saying the messages weren't real. They're just saying that the person texting them was not a child, that was Carly's friend.
these messages from Elle, the supposed teen, we can see that it shows that Tyler sent his message at 2:53 a.m. But in reality,
Okay, so this side right here is Tyler, like, scrolling through his messages, and I guess this would just prove that he did not doctor and change his time. That, like, the screenshot that he, like, sent to other creators to show, like, "Look, there's a discrepancy in the time zones, like, this doesn't make sense. If she lived in North Carolina and was one of Carly's friends, we would be on the same time zone, right?" I think, like, he's doing, like, the scrolling to show, like, "I didn't take a screenshot and, like, edit this to say a different time to prove I wasn't texting her at night." Him scrolling through here shows like, listen, this was not the time that she said it was, I guess. I don't know.
we can see what his time zone is here, and that it actually was 8:53 p.m.
Okay, so he's saying it was 8:53 p.m. He's saying anybody saying that he was messaging somebody at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, on his side, it was actually 8:53 p.m. It was not 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I guess just, he's just trying to debunk one of those things, one of the things that people's pointing out. At the end of the day, he shouldn't have been texting the person, whatever time it was. Anyways, okay, this one is Melissa texting a friend of hers that lives in a different time zone to see how that would show up. Uh, so November 13th at 2022, can you like, comment, and share, please? And so these are older messages just to show the difference. And the friend's screenshot shows November 13th, 2022 at 4:39 p.m.
After seeing that, I checked the images on what another message would look like between me and a friend in Newfoundland. So, completely different time zones, and we can clearly see that reflected on each of our screenshots. It was such an odd discovery. And then we see that E redacts L's message here And the message isn't anything to do with safety. It's just about Elle contacting Tyler. Like,
This was suspicious to me, you guys. Um, there was stuff redacted that it was like, I'll read it. So this is something that E or L one redacted, but L sent to Tyler. On April 8th, there did not appear to be any messages before that, which maybe they just scrolled it up to the top. But it says, there's something wrong with Insta again now. Can't send you messages. I really don't understand. Could your account be hacked or something? Maybe try to change your password just to be sure. So that info about Carly doesn't get leaked somehow. And they redacted that. They redacted where they said, "There's something wrong with your account. I can't send you a message." And they're saying, Tyler and Melissa is saying this shows that like even when Tyler wasn't reaching out to them, they were reaching back out to him. Like, hey, I'm trying to send you something on Insta. I can't. What's going on? And they're saying like it seems like this person wanted to act like they weren't also constantly reaching out to Tyler. You know what I'm saying? Um, and maybe because it has no relevance, Lulu says, maybe because it has no relevance. I mean, really, at this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I get it. If I was the one being accused of like constantly reaching out to them, like I tried to tell them and they just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I, I also knew that when I wasn't messaging you, you were messaging me. I'd be like, hold up now. You did too. Like when I would stop talking to you, you would reach back out to me as well. And then when you released the messages, you didn't put that out. You only made it look like I was reaching out to you. So I could kind of see what they're saying here. Not that it makes anything that they did right. Where is the docs though? Because like if you see right here, it says account not found. Every part from Tyler's side says account not found. I've yet to see a docs. And even in here, like I don't like nobody called her out to say, "Hey, you doxed somebody." I really think what they're claiming is a dox. Okay, point. Well, thankfully we can't see it on my screen. Um, okay.
they did repeat.
Right here, that just proves though that they redacted some stuff that E or L redacted some stuff that really wasn't to protect anybody's identity.
Repeatedly since the beginning of this. And it makes me
I
wonder
get what you guys are saying now. Completely missed that. Um, if you guys can see it, please do not go reaching out to this person.
why they hid that. It was such
Oh, and like she said she really doesn't know why they redacted that. There was nothing, no, information, no names or no schools or nothing that really needed to be redacted. Okay, now here's I'm just gonna let her talk through this
since the
because I don't remember
beginning
what this
of
part
this.
is.
And we
Okay.
can clearly see that reflected on each of our screenshots. It was such an odd discovery. And then we see that E redacts L's message here. And the message isn't anything to do with safety. It's just about L contacting Tyler, like they did repeatedly since the beginning of this. And it makes me wonder why they hid that. It was such a weird find, but something that E felt offensive enough to message the Kate and Tyler Take It Down Reddit TikTok page. And we find out that E is supposedly cousins with L, which just begs the question if the cousin, aka E, is an adult, why aren't they coming out and talking about this? Because if there is actually a minor involved, they don't have to identify that child. They are an adult. They should be able to speak publicly about this. And
Mhm.
why milk the release of these messages, which are being directly shared with reality TV vloggers that are up and coming on here with 30, 40,000 followers. When bigger reality TV channels that cover teen moms specifically haven't heard from this E, this mysterious person that claimed that parents were informed and the law was informed, and yet nothing has been done except for the spectacle on TikTok and Reddit. Instead of involving the authorities, and where the Sixth Amendment provides that a person accused of a crime has the right to confront a witness against them or her in a criminal action.
Oh, that's taking it too far.
And with accusations like this, it should be handled by the authorities, like everyone said. And if it actually happened, they could make a report. But instead, they're making a spectacle on multiple videos, sometimes up to 80 plus, on this family, exposing this adopted child to more of the limelight and more aggression towards both of her parents. Meanwhile, anyone who asks for more information and more evidence before cutting people off.
I think, we come to the conclusion that
Okay, here's going to be the second part of the message. Also, they're going to they talk to an attorney, but she said people accused of a crime have the right to face their accuser. Why hasn't the adult who's leaking these, who says they are the cousin to Elle, E says she is the cousin to Elle and that she is an adult, and she is saying they are, that they are grooming and harassing and hurting and all of this stuff. And so Melissa, the lady here, says, why don't Elle come out on behalf of E and speak publicly? Like, why not show her face and talk about this rather than just releasing the text messages? I've seen a few people say this, like, I don't think this is accurate, but oh, like strategically, a little bit here, a little bit there, in a way to like make money, I guess. But if you're on TikTok, when you first started TikTok, it takes a minute for you to even get monetized. So I think they have like a little bit over 2,000 followers, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, they have 2,000 followers. Most of the videos, this one's got 11,008, 22, 9, 5, 25. The first batch got 94,000. 36, 36, 25. So even if they are monetized, they're probably not making much money because so many people are screenshotting these and then doing videos on them or doing their own TikTok. So people aren't really having to go to this page to look for them. So I don't know how much money this person is really making off of this, but I have seen people saying like, "Oh, they're releasing these like this to make money. Why not release all of them? Why not release them in order?" I've wondered why don't they release them in order? Uh, like even the last batch yesterday that was released, they were not in order and they contained messages that had already been released. So they're super out of order and they're containing messages that were, and then like somebody on Facebook is like, these weren't released 2 hours ago. They were released last week. And I'm like, unfortunately, some of them were released last week, but the first few were released a couple hours ago. And then for some reason they threw these other ones in. Not sure why. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily for, monetary gain or anything because they could have went to media outlets maybe and sold the screenshots. Even if they are making money, it's probably not going to be a lot. I really don't understand, why they're doing it the way they are doing it, but people do things, for their own reasons, the way they want to. I don't know. Um, if she releases them in order, then people will not continuously check her page for the newest. I would. And that would make me even more so because I don't understand half of them. Like, as long as she had to say, like, as long as she says, like, more coming tomorrow or check back here for more, releasing them out of order has been so confusing to me. It makes me question things. Like, what's missing? Why are they so far out of order? You know what I'm saying? That's like perks my ears up that they're so out of order. And like, where Tyler says something that's questionable, the next screenshot is not her responding to that, but something completely different about a whole different. So that is weird to me, but I don't know, why they're doing it. There could be a reason why. I don't know. I'm not going to say it's anything nefarious, but it just doesn't make sense to me, and it would make more sense for them to be in order. Either way, Melissa says, this person is accusing Kate and Tyler of a crime. Shelby says, why release any of these at all? If these are Carly's friends, people, then aren't they hurting her by dropping them? I think Carly has seen them from the way they posted about it. From something they posted the other day, they said everybody involved, everyone affected, they are aware of these screenshots and they are aware that they are being posted, which would make me think who's going to be affected the most? Carly. So she would have to know about these, right? So, anyways, yeah, Melissa says, they're being accused of like a crime. And since this is an adult accusing Tyler of a crime, this person, you have the right to face your accuser. But I'm like, unless you're taking it to court, in court, then you face your accuser. If somebody presses charges on you or goes to the police station and files a report on you, then you have the right to face your accuser. This is just social media. And if they take it, if they take the legal route, then Tyler would absolutely be able to face them. All right, let's continue. This is where Tyler, I think this is an additional clip that has not been released yet.
I think just mourning the loss of her is super important for us moving forward, and just kind of accepting the fact that she may never contact us, and that I think to kind of let the mourning happen.
I also think too, like just continuing to work on ourselves to process our grief and stuff too, so that way if she ever decides that she wants contact, we can look at her and say like, hey, yeah, we struggled for a few years emotionally missing you, but we really were like, I want to be the healthiest version of myself that I can be.
Yeah, and I think what's key here is that we have birth parents who are struggling. We have adoptees who are struggling. And it leads to very unsafe situations.
I understand the impact that this has had, regardless of what's true, what's not true. But now that I'm doing this publicly with this interview, I feel it's just the kind of the layer that the natural next step to reaching out privately is to do it publicly and let everyone know the truth and what's happening, and just kind of, I don't know really what else to do at this point. Like you said, I reached out to Dawn. I've said, can you confirm or deny any of this stuff?
17-year-old affirmatively reached out to Tyler, right?
Okay, so this is the attorney, Sarah Katz. This is where she addresses this, and they did say the reason the full interview is taking so long to release is because they spoke to an attorney about this, and they spoke to the police, and they spoke to several people about this, and they just wanted to get everybody's opinions on if anything violated the law, if there can be some sort of legal repercussions. So this is what the attorney had to say, and I'm sorry the volume is so low. Had I known that it was going to be low to you guys, I would have spent enough time to re-record this and boost the audio up. I do apologize. All right, so here is what the attorney had to say. And apparently they're claiming apparently they're claiming that this is a 17-year-old from what the attorney is saying. All right, so I backed it up a little bit. Hold on.
Like, can you confirm or deny any of this stuff?
17-year-old affirmatively reached out to Tyler, right? Then, certainly he can receive that information. The question becomes, what does that back and forth look like, right? And do you think that if a natural parent in those circumstances came to me for advice, probably my advice would look something like, tell your child's friend to help encourage your child to report this, right, to a trusted adult outside of the adoptive resource home, right?
Listen, random people
Okay, so she basically said just a 17-year-old reaching out to Tyler, like, I guess he can engage, but it goes the extent of what that conversation entails too. They encouraged them to take pictures, but they weren't like pictures revealing anything. But she would have suggested to tell Carly to reach out to a trusted adult or someone that she could trust. I think there's going to be more in the interview. I think we're going to hear more from this attorney in the interview. So I'm very curious, when is this going to drop?
Telling me what I thought in my own head during these conversations doesn't make it true. Reading these unredacted messages for yourself, it's very easy to rule out that it's a minor simply by the way they talk and communicate. All I knew was that they successfully convinced me that they were very close to her in some kind of way. I personally thought it was an older aunt or cousin, maybe, but definitely not a minor. However, I knew that if I wanted to get any sort of information about my biological daughter's safety and emotional well being, then I had to keep them talking and thinking I believed them. Looking back, I now know it wasn't worth it at all, and I should have never continued speaking with this person. But being a concerned birth parent who's been recently cut off with no explanation comes with its own unique emotions and desperation, unfortunately. I now know that my desperation for information and concern for her clouded my judgment throughout all of this, and it's a mistake I have to live with and take full accountability for.
Anyone figures out what my
Okay, guys. Okay, so